Hey y'all! Welcome to or welcome back to my channel, Scotty Cherie Reads, where today I'm going to be telling you what I plan on reading for the rest of the month of July. So grab a seat, grab a drink, I got some coffee here, and let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm a little bit late to the game in terms of putting out my TBR video because when this comes out, it'll probably be mid-July. It's the 13th of July right now. It'll probably come out on the 15th. Anyway, I've just been a bit busy because my brother got married. Yay! Awesome. I have a new sister-in-law. And the wedding was in Breckenridge, and I've been gone for a week. I haven't gotten some reading done so far this month though, so I've read 5 books already in July. But my main focus for July has always been participating in a little snippet of Blackoween, which is hosted by Bree over at Lock Booktition. If you don't follow her, follow her. She's been doing Blackoween for years now, and what Blackoween is, it's a readathon that's focused solely on Black horror authors, which I feel like we don't hear a lot about, and she gives a lot of great suggestions and recommendations, and it's just a fun readathon to be a part of. So this is the first year that she's actually decided to give a little taste of the readathon in the summer. If I haven't mentioned this already, Blackoween happens in October. It's a month-long readathon, but she decided to do a thing called July Noir, which is going to take place from the 17th of July to the 31st of July, which is 2 weeks. So just a little bit of a taste in the summer, and I'm very excited to participate. So let me grab my notebook to give you a little bit more information about what this readathon entails. Give me 1 second. So the way this readathon generally works in October is that you pick a role, and there's various different people that you can pick from, and then there's different locations that have different prompts, and you read through those prompts and you kind of like conquer that location. You get badges and all of these things. It's a little bit more complicated. I'll leave all the links down below, but for July Noir, she simplified it quite a bit. So everyone is the role of investigator Thoreau. So everyone's that investigator, and then you pick from the various locations, and you only need to pick one. You just conquer one. There's 5 prompts and a free space for every single location. And let me just go over the names of those locations really quickly. So there's Bayou Haunted House, there's St. Treme Graveyard, there's Joe's Library, Ruby Crew Park, Laissez-Faire Streetcar, Noir Apothecary. So those are the different locations, and like I said, each location has 5 distinct prompts and then a free space. So overall, you're trying to read pretty much 6 books within 2 weeks. So the location that I chose is Joe's Library, and the prompts for that location are read a historical fiction, read a crime fiction, read a book written by a male Indigenous author, read a book written by a Black man, read a book that has a musical element, and then the 6th one is the free space. So kind of surprisingly, Joe's Library is kind of focused on general crime fiction, and that's not something that I read a lot of, which is kind of the point of this, is to kind of get out of your comfort zone and read things that you normally wouldn't. So I'm excited about this. I went to the library and got a few books, which we're going to go over in 1 second, but looking at a lot of the Black horror books that I had on my shelves, a lot of them just fit the prompts that were here, so that's kind of why I picked Joe's Library. Let me know down below if anyone else is reading in this category, and if anyone's like Team Joe. Well, not that Team Joe, but that's a whole different conversation. But let me grab the books for these prompts and let you know what I plan on reading for the rest of the month. I'll be right back. Okay, to start, for the historical fiction, or it doesn't say historical fiction, I'm so sorry about that. It has to have a historical reference, and the book I chose to pick for that is When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. I've talked about this one before on my channel. It's one that's high up on my TBR list, so I'm very excited about it. To give you an overall synopsis of this book is that our main character grew up in the South, she moved away, but one of her best friends chooses to have her wedding on a plantation in the South. And main character feels a certain way about it, but she ends up going. And some of the ghosts aren't super or some of the spirits that are on this plantation and ancestors and stuff aren't super excited about this fact, and chaos kind of ensues. So I'm excited for this. That's all I know. It's a pretty short book. I think it's only, yeah, just a little over 200 pages, so this should be pretty quick. Yeah, I've heard great things about this novel, so this is what I'm going to use for the first prompt, which it has to have a historical reference element in the book, and obviously it's talking about slavery, it's talking about old plantations, so this will suffice. Let's get to the next prompt. Okay, and the next prompt that I have is, or I need to fill, is just a general, like, crime fiction. And the book that I picked up for this is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. A little bit about my relationship with S.A. Cosby is that I feel like I'm really in the minority because I read Razorblade Tears a year or two ago, and I honestly gave it 2 stars. I think the writing was great, but I think I just had an issue with the main characters where they kind of treated their sons in a shitty way because they were gay, and then they were murdered, and then they try to avenge their kids. And I don't know, I just didn't really like the characters that much. I feel like the redemption arc didn't really work for me, but I know that the writing was really good. So I wanted to give S.A. Cosby another chance, especially because I feel like I said, I think I'm in the minority about that. I don't know anyone else that didn't like Razorblade Tears. I feel like everyone has given it a 5 stars and everyone's raved about this book and Blacktop Wasteland and any of the other things that he's written. So I definitely want to give him another chance. Plus, I think the topic of this is a little more interesting to me. So this follows our main character, Titus, who is the first black sheriff in this town in Virginia. And in this town, there's not a lot of murders that have happened, but for some reason, there is a student who comes to school and kills his teacher, and then the deputies that's on his team come in and they ultimately kill the kid. So there's a lot of secrets that are going on, and I think that this murder, homicide, this whole situation at the school has opened up a lot of secrets and a lot of other cases that are going on in this town that Titus now has to figure out. And that's all that I know for this. It's a little bit of a longer read. It's over 300 pages, but I'm really hoping to love this. Yeah, everyone else seems to love S.A. Cosby, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm missing, so I hope that this changes my mind, and I'm very eager to pick this one up for July Noir. This next prompt I'm very excited about, which is read a book by a male Indigenous author. Unfortunately, I feel like that's a demographic that I haven't read from a lot, and the book that I decided to pick up is The Only Good Indians, which is by Stephen Graham Jones. Stephen Graham Jones is a really well-known author, but I have not read any of his books yet. And I've had this one on my shelves since it came out, and I've heard nothing but great things. I say that all the time. That's probably my little tagline. So sorry for repeating myself, but it's true. A lot of people love Stephen Graham Jones, and there are a lot of books that he's written, but this is the one that I own and one that I'm really excited to finally be picking up. I'm going to read the inside flap just so you have an idea. I kind of like to go, like I said, I like to go into horror blind, but this blurb's only a little paragraph, so I'm going to read it just so you have an idea of what it's about. It says, seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary, The Only Good Indians follows 4 American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Tracked by an entity bent on retribution, these childhood friends are helpless as the culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them in a violent, vengeful way. Yeah, I'm very eager to read this one. There's a lot of great accolades and praise in the back, from Tommy Orange to Paul Tremblay to Josh Mallerman to Victor Lavelle, Rebecca Roanhorse to Nana Reeve Dew. He's just a staple in the horror community, and I am very eager to read this one. On to the next prompt. The fourth prompt is a pretty simple one. It's just read a book written by a black man. So you can overlap prompts, and S.A. Cosby is a black male, so reading this, I could hit both the crime fiction. Oh, hold on, let me restart that. So S.A. Cosby is a black man, and I could use that as the book that fulfills the prompt crime fiction and blackmail. But I am trying to read a book for each prompt, so I picked up The Changeling by Victor Lavelle. It is a bit of a fat book. Let me see. Oh, it's only like 430 pages, so it's not too bad. But again, I've heard great things about Victor Lavelle. Sorry, I'm just gonna put this down because he keeps messing up. He keeps messing up my lighting. But I've heard good things about Victor Lavelle. He had a book that came out beginning of this year, end of last year, because it had been quite a while since he's written a book. I'll put it right here, but a lot of people really, really liked that novel. So I heard a lot about The Changeling as well, which came out a little bit ago. Anyway, sorry for rambling. What I know is that the main character's father disappeared when he was a child, and he's been grappling with that for a while. Move on to the future, he has a wife, they just had a baby, and wife starts acting strange, and then the wife and the baby kind of disappear, they vanish, and he doesn't really know what's going on. So he goes on this quest to find out what is happening. He has these weird dreams, and that's all I know. The blurb here from Anthony Doerr, which is the author of All the Light We Cannot See, said, if the literary gods mix together Haruki Murakami and Ralph Ellison, the result will be Victor Lavelle. So that kind of gives you an idea of what this fairy tale whimsical-esque book will be. I'm hoping to pick this one up. Like I said, if I get a little busy, this will be the last one that I pick up because the S.A. Cosby book would fulfill this prompt, but I would like to get around to it if I can. Alright, and the last actual prompt is read a book with a musical element. And this was kind of difficult to find, but I actually ran into this in the library and didn't know much about it. All I knew was that it was a thriller, and that is The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum. All I know about this is that there's kind of this magical violin or old fiddle. So our main character, which is a young boy, wants to become a violin or fiddle prodigy. I think that his grandfather or great-great-grandfather or something like that was one, and he gives him this violin, which seems to have some magical powers because he's awesome at it. But then when he's going into this big competition or showcase, sorry, the light keeps messing up when I hold up these library books. I'll put it here on the screen. But when he gets to a showcase, the violin's stolen. So he has to figure out who stole it. There's a whole thriller mystery side of things, and that's all I know. So I am interested to pick this one up. I haven't read a thriller in a little bit, so this will be fun. I think that this was an option for Book of the Month 1 month. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I've heard Jesse from Jesse on YouTube talk about it, and I think that they liked it, if I remember correctly. And that's pretty much all I know. So I'm gonna pick that one up for the 5th prompt, and then let's get into options for my free space, which is the 6th prompt. Alright, so like I said, 6th prompt is a free space, and I have a couple options for this prompt. To start, I have Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This is one that I've been wanting to read for a long time because I've heard awesome things about this. I heard that this is kind of like the Black Harry Potter. Jess over at Jess Owens, I talk about Jess a lot. I'm on Jess's Patreon. I love Jess. She's doing a read-along of this trilogy because the first 2 books are out, and then the 3rd book comes out in September or October. I'll put the date here. But this month, we're supposed to be reading Amari and the Night Brothers, which I'm excited about. So this can fit in the free space prompt. And then another one that I have here that I pull off my shelves is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. I think that Amari could work, but Catherine House is more of a horror novel, which fits Blackoween a bit more. So maybe I'll pick this up instead. Honestly, I don't know anything about this. I know that it's in a house and crazy things are happening in this house. I think it's kind of like House of Leaves and maybe Slade House, where things are weird, the house is bigger inside than out, and it's just a bunch of random shit happening, and as you're reading, you're just kind of figuring out as you go what is actually going on. I feel like it's kind of a brain fuck a bit, and I'm kind of in the mood for something like that. I haven't read anything like that in a while, so this is a potential as well. So yeah, with these books here, I'm very eager to get into these. I did a little bit of math to see what I was looking at and see how daunting this is going to be, but within 2 weeks from the books that I have here, it looks like I'm at about 120 pages per per day in order to hit my goal minus the free space. So I might double up on a book, but that's kind of what I'm looking at in order to get those 5 solid prompts down. And I think that's doable. I plan on vlogging for some of this. I'm not sure if I'm going to have it in one big vlog or if I'm going to split it up into like the first week and the second week. Let me know what you would prefer. I don't want the vlog to be longer than like an hour. But yeah, I'm very eager to get into this. This is my first time actually participating in anything Blackoween. I followed along a lot last year in October, but I didn't participate myself, but I will be participating obviously for July, Noir, and then also in October. So if you're participating, let me know what location you picked. Let me know if you're Team Joe or Joe's Library, and let me know what you're reading for the month of July. Thanks for being here. As always, if you like what you saw, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see ya in a few days for the next video. Bye.